What you're hearing is Hardy Fiber Cement Siding living up to its reputation as the siding that helps resist weather damage, no matter what Mother Nature throws its way. James Hardy knows how important a reputation is, especially when you're a home builder. That's why Hardy products withstand the elements better than wood-based siding, with styles to match their strength. Because when home builders work with us, we deliver our best so they can look their best. Protect your reputation with exterior products by James Hardy.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
This is the Fun Belt Podcast, part of the Believe Network.
Hosts the Dusty Thibodeaux of Warhawk Report, Jeremy Harper of Howlraiser, and Shane Mettlen of the Daily News Record.
I think it's potentially a very good week for the Sun Belt.
But I'm just kind of going off on a random rant. It's just frustrating. It's another show and another missing host. Shane Mettlen not with us tonight on the injured reserve, but we have Jeremy back after battling back from injury, battling back from the depths of Montgomery. Jeremy, did you find the referee that called the offsides?
You know what was funny was, we had these, my father and my brother and I, we had these kind of end zone tickets so you can get on the field, and then you were supposed to stay in a certain area to sit, but we just sat where we wanted. We ended up just sitting with the A-State people, but you got access to sort of the clubhouse. So at the end of the game, me and my dad and my brother are kind of waiting around I forget what we're waiting around for, going to the bathroom, I think. And all of a sudden, this line of referees starts marching, through. They're on their way to their locker room. And I really wanted to say, get those guys. It really was just a bad call. But, I never really go out and blame referees for bad calls well, I mean, I can blame a referee for a bad call, but really it was the reason why Arkansas State lost the game wasn't because of the bad call. The reason they lost the game was because they couldn't stop a fake field goal that everybody in the whole stadium saw coming. And Northern Illinois still ran it in for a touchdown. So you know what? You shouldn't put yourself in position to have a call like that affect the game. That's what happened. Referees have bad days just like everybody else.
You know what made me smile about that fake field goal, though, is everyone that gives me grief that special teams are not important. But you know what? Special teams win games, baby. And that is proof right there.
If you've ever had like a football team that's played well, and then like one year they don't have a good punter or they don't have a good field goal kicker, I mean, it really shows, right? And it's the same way with special teams. You can have a great team that plays great defense and great offense, but if you have breakdowns on special teams, you're just going to lose games. And Arkansas State didn't necessarily have bad special teams this year. They were pretty good. What was shocking is, one, everybody knew that this guy wasn't lining up to kick a 49-yard field goal. Hell, they didn't even want him to kick the extra point at the beginning of the game. And then he ended up missing 2 field goals, 2 chip shots. Everybody knew that this guy wasn't equipped. They had a 49-yard field goal. They had already run 2 trick plays. And so everybody's like, look out for the fake field goal. And I don't know why Coach Jones didn't call a timeout and say, hey, listen, we got to get ready for this fake field goal. Ran it anyway. Ended up being the difference of the game. Fake field goal wins the Camellia Bowl.
On that note, 5-7 in the postseason for the Sun Belt Conference. Not bad.
Not
overall.
Yep.
More wins than Conference USA had teams in the postseason.
Yeah.
So there's always that, including Liberty's drumming there by the Oregon Ducks. But I feel like we saw a turning of the tide, so to say, in the Sun Belt Conference in the postseason, and we're continuing to see it. That I think G.J. Kennedy has actually taken back Texas. And we're seeing the fall of Troy. Because Troy not only lost Summerall to Tulane, as well as over half the coaching staff, including the strength and conditioning coach.
Most important
But
part.
we're also seeing a mass exodus of players, whether it be to go pro or to the portal to find new homes. Do
Yeah,
you think, Jeremy, that Troy is falling?
I kind of felt like that same way about we felt that way about Coastal Carolina, right? That when Coastal Carolina lost Jamie Chadwell, he went off to Liberty, did pretty good things in Liberty, that Coastal Carolina was done for. And they proved that they still had a little more gas left in the tank. Now, whether or not they have enough gas to continue, we don't know. But yeah, I don't know if it's the fall of Troy. Troy is really good at reloading. They brought in a pretty good guy. I suddenly forget his name. But yeah, a lot of people in the portal, Tibbs, a lot of people declaring for the NFL, a lot of seniors now suddenly no longer on that team. You got to wonder if maybe even John Summerall was thinking to himself, yeah, this is the time when I got to get out. I'm moving on. Might explain why he went to Tulane, didn't wait for like one of those even bigger offers.
I mean, no doubt you're going to get the bigger carrot dangled in front of you when you go to Tulane. I mean, it's a money school. The Green Wave is not necessarily just the water and Lake Pontchartrain. I mean, that's the money wave coming in there at you.
Is it a green wave of money? I didn't know that. I got to look at that logo a little closer.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look really close and you'll see it.
I'll put it under the microscope.
I think if he stays, how many of these guys stay anyway? Because they want the three-peat. Trademark Pat, whatever his name was with the Lakers. But how I mean, that's definitely the difference right there, right? If Summerall stays, I think that staff stays largely intact. I think that they run the tables one more year with that team. But when he's gone, you don't know what this new staff's going to do, what kind of leadership they're going to have on and off the field. You don't really know what's going to happen there in Troy. And it's a domino effect. When this guy leaves, well, I might as well leave too because he's not going to be here. And then the next guy says, oh, well, those two guys left, so I'm going to go as well.
Yeah. They're losing guys like Gunnar Watson, who, was a much better quarterback than I had given him credit for. Mea culpa on that. Losing Kamadi, I think he's declared for the NFL draft. Am I right? You got 15 guys in the transfer portal. You got a coaching staff that has taken off. So, yeah. So I guess what that means for the Sun Belt West is that maybe maybe it's time for some new blood. But one move that I saw that really kind of not really amused me, but the reaction to it did was your man, the governor, Kane Womack, kind of getting rid of a big majority of his staff. And there was a lot of people that looked at that and said, oh, that's Womack. He's getting rid of a bunch of guys because he wasn't satisfied with how the season played out. I looked at it as, hey, this is the administration saying, hey, you guys, you need to make some changes here or you're going to be next. So I don't know if that was Womack's idea or not to get rid of his guys. What did you think about that, Tibbs?
I agree with you 100% that I think that it was so that I don't have to get fired. I'm going to fire everyone else and try to save face, show that we're turning the program in a different direction. But look, how can you argue with it when the Jags were winning? Was it pretty? Was it as graceful as last year when they were a 10-win team? No, but it's never going to be that way, especially with the injuries mounting, the late transfers. But hell, they got their second ever bowl game, and it was at home, and they won it. What more could you really ask for?
Yeah, I mean, you win that bowl in Mobile, and you don't just win it; you crush your opponent. I mean, not like maybe not a marquee opponent, but a really solid opponent, and I think it was Eastern Michigan, right? And then, of course, you provoke a big fist fight at the end, which was kind of crazy. But yeah, it's kind of strange that you go out on that winning note, and really, South Alabama finished the season fairly strong, and then you get say, all right, we're going to get rid of a bunch of guys. I mean, it is a little strange to me. It does seem to me that it was probably maybe some booster guys, maybe some some athletic director influence saying, Kane, you had everything you could possibly have needed to challenge for the Sun Belt West. Your team didn't do it. Hey, we're glad we won the bowl game. We're glad we have the winning record. It's just not enough. So is it you, Kane Womack, or is it these people that you've hired? And Kane Womack probably just said, yeah, it's not me. It's these guys.
As we turn the page into 2024, the way too early predictions. Who do you think has the most to prove this upcoming year in 2024 for football? And who are you almost expecting a letdown for?
Who am I expecting a letdown for? Oh my God. You know what? James Madison. And I'll tell you why. It's because they've got the new coach. And look what happened to James Madison. Coach Signetti goes out, and was it 7, 8 players immediately bail on James Madison and become Indiana Hoosiers? And then there's several who didn't, that are just, declared for the NFL or getting into the transfer portal. They get the new guy from Holy Cross, and that's great. But it's not Coach Signetti. Kurt Signetti is this special kind of coach. And he gets to Indiana, and the first thing he says is, yeah, here's the reason why they hired me, guys. I win. I mean, he's just oozing with confidence. He's just not a guy that you can replace easily. And so I think James Madison, I know I predicted last year that they were going to hit a sophomore slump. This is the year that they're going to hit the sophomore slump.
Yeah, I mean, 11-2 this year, should have had that one extra game in there as in the Sun Belt Conference championship game. Like it or not, they should have. But when you're that high and you're at 11-2, 12-2, 11-3, whatever the record is that you want to say that they won or lost a championship game and then went on from there, that's hard to repeat. And I mean, we see that even like with the likes of Alabama, right? I mean, they're struggling to stay atop the standings there. We see it from LSU, from Arkansas, from you name it, going down the list. So I think that's the team that is the easy gimme pick of a fall.
Before you go on, yeah, I get that too. They're the ones that have the furthest to fall from. But the Sun Belt has been the 6-6 kind of conference, right? It's hard to say. Point out to like a Marshall or a Georgia Southern or a Georgia State or even an Arkansas State or a Texas State and go, oh, they're going to be really disappointing because they were so mediocre this season that you can't really tell who's going to be the guys that fall and who's going to be the guys that rise. I'm sorry to interrupt, Thibs. Who are you going to think? Who do you think is going to be that one?
I think the other team that we could see a big fall from, I think it's your team, Jeremy. I think Arkansas State. I liked them this year. I thought they were a good team, but I thought that they really overachieved. And they're going to be close. Okay. I think they're still right at the cusp of hitting the 6-win mark, but I just see them being like a 4 or 5 win team, taking maybe a small step back, not a dramatic step. But I feel like that's going to be enough to kind of push them down in the Sun Belt Conference West standings. The team that I have the most expectations for, though, is Georgia Southern. Year 3 under Helton, but he hasn't signed that portal quarterback that we've grown to expect from him. So that's really going to be the key difference of their success or their failures. Right now, they're a failure, but I'm gambling on them and picking them as my riser for the Sun Belt Conference in 24.
See, I am going to flip-flop your predictions based on exactly what you just said, the quarterback. Arkansas State will be coming a second year under a really good quarterback in Jalen Rayner. And they also have guys that are, sophomores and freshmen who played big roles that are going to be 1 year smarter, 1 year stronger, and 1 year wiser. I look at Georgia Southern, and again, it's like they're just picking quarterbacks out of the blue, guys that aren't. One of the good things about what Butch Jones is doing is that he's not going through the transfer route. He's building like a little culture in Jonesboro where he's getting guys that really believe in what they are doing in Jonesboro, which is why you're not seeing a lot of guys leaving Arkansas State during the transfer portal. They're sticking around. Georgia Southern, on the other hand, if you're going to keep grabbing guys from, I don't know where they're grabbing from and what Tulsa quarterback they're going to get this time, they're getting mercenaries. And you can't really build a long-lasting program of brothers that believe in themselves if you're constantly going to staff your program with guys from other places who will constantly mutter under their breath, well, we didn't do that at Tulane. Well, we didn't do that at USC. So I don't know. I don't know if I can believe that Georgia Southern is going to make this big step. I felt like maybe this year was the year that they showed us that maybe there's something wrong with Clay Helton's formula, but we'll see. We'll see. You and I may have to beg to differ on that.
Without a doubt, as always, of course, Jeremy.
All right, let me throw this at you. I've been hearing like two things about the people that the team that I've been hearing that's supposed to be taking this giant leap this year. I'm still not convinced about this. I guess it matters if the quarterback stays. Texas State. Is Texas State the de facto program that's going to take over the West?
I think that when Sunbelt Conference Media Days rolls around, they will be the preseason pick to win the West.
Wow.
Do they live up to the hype? I agree with you. Is it that they have a quarterback of TJ Finley because they've already lost CJ Rogers? They lost Malik Hornsby.
Yes.
So if they don't have Finley, they're then kind of turning their attention to the star signee they have. I believe he's out of San Marcos right there as well. Good player, but does it translate into him being ready to play D1 football? Or does he struggle a little bit while he kind of learns the speed of the game and how college football runs?
Yeah, and that was huge. To have, I believe, let's see. Let me check my list real quick because I want to take a look at who's bouncing around Texas State. And okay, here we go. So, we saw Malik Hornsby. He's leaving. What about their star wide receiver?
He was a walk-on, but I believe he was a senior. And if not, he'll have that 1 year left. But I haven't heard anything of him leaving.
For some reason, I thought maybe he was leaving. And then Calvin Hill, he was good like last year. Wasn't good this year. I forget what happened to him. But having Mondi, and if Mondi and Finley stay, you just got to believe that J.G. Kennedy has sort of the upper hand in the
or
Sun
GJ.
So
His alter ego.
Did I say GJ? What did I say? JG?
You said JG. It's like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Maybe when he's not doing well, he's JG. When he's doing good, it's GJ.
Wow. Yes, like Dr. Detroit. Yeah, I can see that. But let's say in the East, who do you think is you said you got to look out for the Eagles. Is there anybody else in the East that you think we're going to have to look out for?
I never know what to do with Old Dominion. I mean, I look up and down the roster. Look, they're losing Jason Henderson, who is going pro after what seems like a decade of being there and 1,000 tackle seasons. But I still don't know what to do with them. I don't know if they're going to be a riser, a sinker. I really don't know. I am anxious to see Coastal Carolina in the true post Grayson McCall era. Now, if you noticed, he was even in Hawaii for their bowl game. He was on the sidelines, but he was there. So what do the Shants do when there literally is not a Grayson McCall? He's not in street clothes on the sideline. He's not in the film room. He's not in the huddle. What do they look like? What do they do without that leadership?
Yeah, and I'm sure he was almost like a second coach for Tim Beck down there in Conway. Yeah, and he's going to be gone. I guess he's with the Wolfpack now, North Carolina State, right?
He's howling. He
Yeah.
no longer pisses teal.
He pisses something else. But yeah, ODU, you mentioned ODU, about 20 of their guys are in the transfer portal. Some of their stars have launched or on their way to NFL careers or using their degree for their life after football, and that's great. So it's going to be a totally different ODU team this year. I have a feeling that they'll be looking for a new quarterback, and they'll be looking for new leadership over there. That will be interesting. I think once again, when Sunbelt Media Days comes, ODU will be the wild card. Wouldn't be surprised if ODU is picked to finish last, and then somehow Ricky Ronnie proves them wrong again.
I just love talking baseball with Ricky Ronnie.
Really? He's a baseball guy.
He is a huge baseball guy, Jeremy.
I did not know that.
Huge.
Huh, okay. Well, maybe he'll rather talk baseball than football when we see him in New Orleans this summer.
Oh, there's no doubt that he would rather talk baseball, because that I think is his passion and his break from football and a chance to kind of get away and be the quote unquote normal dad to his kids there.
All right, one program we haven't talked about, Thibs, before we move on to close this out with hoops. What about the Warhawks, man? New coach came away with the highest rated recruit in all of Sunbelt. What's going on there in Monroe? What is there some magic that is forming? Some new coach magic?
I'd just like to say that, first of all, we thank God and appreciate the abilities he's given us to recruit to the Bayou.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, Chief Brave Spirit is not pissed and is willing to allow us to have one good football season.
Ooh.
And that will be 2024. Actually, in all seriousness, I think that there's a lot of pieces that are on campus, signed 34, 35 guys. Saw on the halftime interview of the 0-2 now men's basketball program broadcast that Vincent was interviewed and said between 18 to 20 more are expected to kind of sign here in the spring. Still need a quarterback. Still need a kicker. Still need a playmaking wide receiver that can really be that guy. Until those pieces are there, I'm not saying that they're necessarily going to go 0-8 in Sunbelt Conference. They will be better than the 2-10 overall record that they had this past year. But you also have to remember that their non-conference slate includes stops at Texas, who is back, apparently, even though they're not in the title game.
Texas is back.
Headed to the plains of Auburn, hosting UAB and hosting Jackson State, the former Prime University. So not an easy non-conference schedule. Don't know what the two crossover games are going to be from the East. So the schedule doesn't do any favors, but until they can find a solid veteran quarterback, it's going to be tough going for the Warhawks again in 24.
Yeah, you know what? I always feel like I'm always pulling a little bit for the Warhawks because the Sun Belt's more interesting when the Warhawks are playing some good football. Warhawks, you're talking about that out of conference schedule. It's always a hard schedule, Thibs. I mean, the Warhawks never make it easy on themselves. I mean, that's kind of what I enjoy about the Warhawks is that, they don't mind taking a punch, especially before conference play starts.
So, I wonder if Champion Baptist has a football team.
Well, call them up. So you were lamenting about hoops, Thibs. How is it that there's one Sunbelt game on tonight and it's ULM and Marshall? How did this happen?
We are Marshall. I have no idea why it wound up coming in to Wednesday because the women are on the road. They're going on the Georgia swing this week. So I have no idea why there's a random Wednesday game. Maybe it was on the Marshall, the scheduling side, that they had to fly from Huntington, and I don't know where they go next, but wherever it is, maybe that's the bus ride. So it's more about Marshall than ULM.
I thought maybe it was distance that there was some sort of scheduling snafu with that, but that's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, you would think Monroe, the birthplace of Delta Airlines, would have better jet service, but no, that is not the case.
I didn't realize that about Monroe, that's the birthplace of Delta Airlines. Is that true?
That is a true story. Started off as a crop duster service.
Huh, you would think that ULM would be raking in that deep Delta Airlines cash.
Oh no, they pulled out of Monroe back in like the 90s and moved everything to Atlanta.
Oh, well, that sucks. I'm so sorry to hear that. But yeah, so looking forward to that. All right, so hoops, we had the first round of Sunbelt action on Saturday. Did you check any of it out? Were you watching it, Tibbs? Were you feeling the pulse of the league? Like we know that that Shane was probably doing that. Shane was probably eating it up. But were you, Tibbs? Were you on the edge of your seat watching riveting Sunbelt action?
I did watch several games. I watched ULM fall at App State. Not surprised by that. That was a prediction that I had last episode when you were not here.
I wasn't here for that.
On the sidelines.
Yeah.
I think App State's a great team. I think that they're a good team, especially at home. Yes. And it's tough to get to Boone. It's tough to play in Boone. And the Warhawks found that out to open up the season 0-1 there against the Mountaineers. JMU continued to roll as expected.
No. Maybe I did not expect that at all. I actually
you didn't expect that
down on Texas State. All right, okay, because I'm dumb. I had in my head that James Madison the last few weeks playing some pretty weak competition, right? Kind of coasting through, getting their little wins against these small schools. Texas State, not an easy out historically in the Sun Belt. So here they come. I thought maybe they would give the Dukes a little bit more than what they could handle. And for a while there, it was kind of close. And then Dukes just slammed the lid on them. I did not expect that, Tibbs. Apparently you did.
I did, because I know that the Dukes have had a much tougher schedule than playing the likes of Trevecca Nazarene.
Okay, yeah, that's an easy win. They
did not fall to the swagtastic Jackson State.
Oh, I know somebody who did that.
Yeah, so I'm sure that JMU has been tested. They are a solid program and an admirable opponent, unlike another team whose sole economic basis is veterinary clinics.
Oh no, Arkansas State doing well. Arkansas State.
I didn't call out a program.
I know what you're talking about. Arkansas State played Georgia State, lost 91-90 in a barn burner. It was a pretty fun game. Home teams had the advantage this time, but all right, you've got to admit, Georgia Southern coming down. Well, I guess it was Southern Miss going to Statesboro and losing to Georgia Southern. Oh my God, did we expect that? Did you expect that?
Not in the least bit, because I forget who said it, that you could basically take Austin Crowley from Southern Miss, go to the rec center, pick up 4 guys, and there's your team that would hands down win that game. And whoever it was that said that was wrong as wrong could be, as Georgia Southern improved to 1-12, but more importantly, 1-0 in Sun Belt Conference action with that win.
Was close. It wasn't even a close game, Tibbs. It was just a classic beatdown. So, Arkansas State hosts Georgia Southern tomorrow. I'm nervous as hell. The Georgia Southern just become like iron after being forged into the fire of an 0-12 out of conference season. Oh my God.
They washed the funk off of there in Eagle Creek.
I guess so. Holy shit. So yeah, undefeated in the Sun Belt, the Eagles, after going 0-12 to start the season. Does that not make you worry a little bit about the Sun Belt, Dusty Thibodeaux?
That any team could be anybody? I think we've seen that. I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time that we had a team that ran the tables in conference action on their way to wherever the conference tournament was at the time. Knee-jerk reaction is I'm sure Western Kentucky did it or was close. North Texas, I know, never did. And so, yeah, anybody can beat anyone. I think the one team that maybe we could already discount a little bit is Coastal Carolina with legendary coach Cliff Ellis retiring already in the season.
Retired? Okay.
I think they're a mess. I don't think that they know their identity. I don't think they know who they are. I don't think that they will be able to recover from it. Are they going to be an 0-for team? Probably not. They'll probably pick up a handful of wins, but I don't see them being the contenders already through the first weekend of Sunbelt action.
Oh, so 1 week you've made that determination. Well, if anybody could do that, it would be you, Thibs, because I really do respect your acumen for
There's one person.
Yeah. What?
Said there's one person.
It's me. I'm your fan. I'm the guy who understands you the most. But I thought that was kind of a rosy outlook. I'm a little more skeptical. When I see that a team has gone 0 for 12 in the out of conference and then immediately find success when they go into their own conference, that makes me think that maybe there's something weak about the Sun Belt. I could be totally off base, but we have noticed that the Sun Belt has struggled this year a little bit unexpectedly. Now here we are. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel nervous, Thibs. I guess maybe I shouldn't feel this nervous. I just do.
Well, here's the problem I have overall as I throw my phone.
Yeah, I don't know what
disgust of the Warhawks falling yet again. The NCAA doesn't want the G5, the non-P5, P4, P3, whatever you want to call them, to have any slice of the pie from the NCAA. So the regular season champ no longer gets the automatic bid into the NIT.
I know you're very mad about that.
So it's really all about the conference tournament. Who gives a damn, honestly, about these games right now? It's all about what can we do to make sure we get to Pensacola and play through those games to get the NCAA tournament bid. That's all that really matters, because the regular season is pointless now.
That's good wisdom. That is good wisdom. Yeah. Because first of all, if you got the net, you've got to be a top 50 net, right, to have any chance at getting an at-large bid, and maybe even more like a top 40 net. So right now you've got James Madison. Let's see where our net is right now.
And I think if you're coming from a G5 type of conference or a non automatic qualifier or whatever you want to call them in the basketball realm, I think you got to be a top 10 net.
Really?
Ooh. To really guarantee yourself to it. In other words, it ain't going to happen that a McNeese gets an at-large bid. They got to go run the tables even to win the Southland in order to get into the NCAA tournament. So if James Madison, being ranked, will not get an at-large bid. They would get an at-large NIT bid, but they're going to have to run the tables in Pensacola to get into the NCAA. That's the way it is, and the way it's just going to keep being for us in the smaller conferences.
Have you looked at Sunbelt.net?
Only when you posted on the X.
So you saw the latest one. James Madison's at 32 right now. It's not going to stay there playing through the Sun Belt. Even though we have our little MAC tournament in the middle there, it's just not going to hold. I don't know where James Madison ends up. I think there's some hope that James Madison plays well enough and then somehow loses in the Sun Belt tournament and we get two guys into the mix. Is there a chance in hell that happens? I'm listening to you. It sounds like no.
No, I don't even see us having an NIT and NCAA tournament this year. It's going to be one bid for the NCAA for the tournament champion and a bunch of C-level tournament participants from there on out.
That's good news for you, Thibs, because you love those tournaments. The CBI, the I don't even know the others.
CIT.
Yeah. You love those. You love those tournaments.
I do.
It's the lifeblood of college basketball.
It's G5 at its best, and then a really bad, horrible P5 team that has to quote unquote suffer with the rest of us peons.
I'm glad that you're finally you're succumbing to this bitterness that has really shaped my mood about college athletics for the last 12 years. I'm glad that finally, Thibs, you have become the bitter old man that I have become. Congratulations. Welcome into the community.
I know we're talking basketball, but a big thing that really fueled it was being an FWA All-American voter.
Yes.
Sitting on these calls.
Yeah.
After doing the research about our Sunbelt brethren and the guys deserving of All-American honors.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about just any, mini, mighty, mo. We're talking about legit guys. Jalen Green.
Guys who put up stats.
Jalen Green, Jason Henderson, Colin Lacey, Maldy. All these guys more than deserving of it. And yet they just glaze over it going, they play in the Sun Belt. That's not the same. It doesn't matter. If you have over 1,000 yards receiving, it doesn't matter what league you're in. You still got to catch the ball. You got to have yak. You got to be able to get open. You got to be able to run the routes. You got to put up the stats. It doesn't matter the level of competition.
South Alabama and Alabama both put on the pads and play on the same field. They really do. It's only a matter of depth that separates those two programs. It really is. You can put those guys toe to toe, their best players versus their best players, and they will compete. I guarantee you. And so when you say somebody like a Cullen Lacey is a subpar, not worthy of All-American honors, that's just wrong. Look at the wide receivers right now playing in the NFL. The wide receivers and tight ends. Tolbert, Isaiah Likely. There's some running backs coming out of Elijah Mitchell. The talent is good enough to be in the NFL. And you're saying they're not good enough to be an All-American? That's nuts, Thibs.
They're flukes, Jeremy. That's all it is flukes.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, I guess since we've dipped back into football, I don't like talking about other conferences, but Liberty getting destroyed. Was it the Fiesta Bowl? Is that what it was? The Fiesta Bowl, right?
Sounds right.
Yeah. Against Oregon. I watched the majority of that. And I think we've discussed this. Was Liberty worthy of being in that position? And with their strength of schedule being as weak as it was, I thought it was very lazy of the committee just to go, oh well, they're 13-0, so they must be the best G5. I mean, we're just going to put them in there. We're going to have them get slaughtered by Oregon. No offense to Liberty, no offense to Jamie Chadwell, but that team was not ready for Oregon. They did not play the competition necessary to be in an NY6 bowl. And it was embarrassing, not just for Oregon, not just for Liberty, but for the college football playoff structure to be so lazy in researching who was the best G5 that the only thing that they could see was record 13-0. That's the only thing that mattered to the committee. They didn't want to do anything deeper. They didn't want to look at the games. They didn't want to look at the competition. They didn't want to look at the other teams out there. They were just like, 13-0. We'll rank them 23rd in our poll, and we'll put them out there and let them get hammered by Oregon. Not fair.
Two trains of thought there.
Yeah.
The first, Oregon's hand gesture. The Red Wolves have their wolf. South Alabama has their L, and so forth. Oregon's hands together O is the exact same number of P5 opponents that Liberty played this past year.
Yes.
When we look back not to rub salt in your wounds there, Jeremy.
Okay.
What did Arkansas State do in that opener P5 game?
Oh, we lost 73-0.
But it
Oklahoma.
prepared you
It did.
for that level of competition.
Right away, we understood what it meant to play that level of competition and where we needed to be.
Having watched that game, was Oklahoma maybe on the same level as UTEP? Were they on the same level as Sam Houston?
Probably not. No, I don't think so.
Buffalo?
Well, Buffalo historically has had some good teams, but maybe not this year.
My point is, they didn't play anybody.
Oh!
So yeah, they probably were going to run the tables.
Yes, ran the table on a conference made up of FCS teams moving up and some scrap FBS programs. And again, I'm not trying to bust on Jamie Chadwell. Congratulations on that great season. But you beat up on it would be like Alabama suddenly like being in, I don't know, the CAA and just running through them, and then them giving an NY6 bowl as a result. It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to everybody. The fans.
The other point I have, the Illuminati, the P4, the P5, whatever you want to call them, they wanted this because this shows why the G5 as a whole should not be allowed in the playoff, the New Year's Six at all.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're going to hear Kurt Herbstreit at some point say, look what happened to Liberty. Yeah, was that a good game? I mean, they were the best team to come out of the G5. And they didn't put up any struggle, any fight against Oregon. Before then, I think the record between G5 and P5 in that game had been something like 5-6, right? It was almost even. And now people will only remember that Liberty got destroyed by Oregon. I mean, they'll forget.
And I'll say this, especially since Shane's not here. I don't think if James Madison would have ran the tables and in light of Cignetti leaving and everything else, James Madison would have fared any better. But to say that that's the representation for the G5, I'm not buying it.
No, I don't get it either. It's a shame that it had to go down this way. But then again, college football is going to look a lot different starting next season. We don't. I mean, this might be the last year where we had a normal college football season. Next year, gosh, I don't even know how it's going to look. There's no Pac-12. You got two mega. Yeah, well, those guys pretty much combined with the Mountain West, right?
Yeah, basically.
Right. They don't want to be the Mountain West, but they're going to play the Mountain West, kind of like the way I don't know. I guess
Notre Dame joined the ACC.
Yeah. They're Notre Daming up there. Okay, that's fine.
Getting back to the round ball though, Jeremy.
Okay.
No surprise, Georgia Southern picks up the win. They move to 11-2. Old Dominion, James Madison also get the wins. ULM gave James Madison a good scare. And I told y'all, I didn't say that ULM's women was going to win it all, but they were going to be a lot better than last year. I'm still sticking by them being a top 5 team. And at least on Saturday, James Madison was the better team. But ULM's the real deal.
No, you're very excited about the Warhawks women, and you should be. I've seen some some publicities, maybe some praise heaped towards the Warhawks women as sort of sleepers in the women's department for basketball. Something I've never seen before coming out of the Warhawks. So yeah, great. What was the final score against James Madison?
5-6 points.
5-6 points.
It was right there.
Yeah, James Madison historically and recently a very good women's program. So for ULM to come over there and compete, they went to James Madison, right?
No, they were in the friendly confines of Fant Ewing Coliseum.
Okay, well, that kind of takes the shine out of it a little bit, but yeah. Oh yeah, I think that it's going to be a very, the way the men's have been a little disappointing. I feel like the women's basketball in the Sun Belt is going to be really good this year. I think there's going to be some really. I think the standings are going to be a lot tighter than it was last year. When it just what was it, Texas State and JMU last year?
Yes.
Yeah.
With Texas State taking the tiebreaker.
Yeah. And I feel like it's going to be a little more competitive this year. I've seen some A-State women. I've watched more women's basketball this season than I've had in a long time. And it's been good. It's been a good product. I've been really enjoying watching it. Even on the national scene with Caitlin, whatever her name is, from Iowa State, sinking that midcourt three-pointer.
Iowa.
Yeah, it was Iowa. Okay. That's just some exciting stuff. So I'm looking forward to this Sun Belt women's season. It's going to be good.
Last thing I have on basketball, TJ Bickerstaff,
Yes.
the USBWA National Player of the Week. He is one of 4 D1 players shooting 67% from the floor on the season.
Oh, that's pretty good. 67? Did you say
67?
7%?
67%.
Damn. That's pretty valuable.
And that's why James Madison is the real deal on the men's side.
Well done.
Anything else, Jeremy, before we break into the plugs, promos, parting shots?
I'm ready, man. I'm ready for my parting shot.
Lead us away then.
All right, so I went to the Camellia Bowl, held in Montgomery, Alabama. By the way, we found the site of the Montgomery Bowl boat brawl. I don't know if you remember that, the boat captains and the guys from the pleasure boat getting it on at the wharf there. So we took some pictures. It was nice. I drank a lot of Four Roses, met up with a bunch of guys who really celebrate. Had a great time. The game was at 11 o'clock in the morning. So it wasn't really like the kind of like nighttime festive kind of game that you would normally have like all of our bowl games in previous times have been at night. So this was sort of a strange occurrence. But we had gotten some tickets in the end zone at the stadium, and in the end zone of this particular stadium, I forget the name of the stadium in Montgomery, they have kind of a field house in one end zone. It's like they have their basketball court and stuff, and then these big windows that overlooks the field. So we're like, okay, we can stand here and kind of, have our beers or juices or food, because they were supposed to be offering premium food with the tickets, and we'll watch the game from there, or we'll go down the field or whatever. So we get in there, and these big, beautiful windows that they have are completely blocked off by these party tents, these corporate tents that they've put up, like segmented off. Only the people in these segmented tents could look out these windows, and there was nobody in the tents. Somebody had bought the tents, like some corporation, but nobody was there. It drove me nuts. Here I am. I've bought a ticket. It's a pricey ticket, mind you. I'm not allowed to look out the window? And then to top it off, the premium food, some cold chicken wings, and some meatballs, which were actually not bad. But anyway, I was really disappointed with the Camellia Bowl's effort there, kowtowing to corporate interests, making it so the common man like me couldn't enjoy the amenities that they had promised me. They need to do a better job. Do a better job, Camellia Bowl. I know it is within you to do it.
Awesome, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you enjoyed the Crampton Bowl.
Oh, the Crampton Bowl. Yes. Beautiful stadium. I love it. I just didn't like the situation.
It's much improved from my high school days of playing there in the Crampton Bowl.
Ooh.
I have nothing on a plug promo or a parting shot. I know I'm so unprepared. I feel like Jeremy
professional. Jesus.
You know what my parting shot is?
Okay.
I'm glad that I show up for these shows. I have the Cal Ripken streak going on, hosting Funbelt podcast.
You're always
making my way, going injured, going hoarse, going sick, going whatever.
You could be sick
just to make Jeremy look good on an audio podcast.
Always, you know what? You take my worldly, brilliant takes and you somehow shine them up and make them even better.
I don't have the strength to do it tonight, Jeremy.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.